You're listening to The Starting Block on tavshow.com.
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
Okie dokie, roll 'em!
Nothing to rearrange. Sometimes you just get a feeling like you need some kind of change.
Welcome to Starting Block for another week. Big show as always. We've got nice Garys, we've got heroes, we've got Sexist Bloc, we've got some bands, and we've got a shit ton of stat bands to appease a few of our listeners. All that and much more here on the block. Greeno here from the Starting Block. On behalf of the block, we just wanted to let you all know that we're all in this together. Well, except if you have coronavirus, then stay the fuck away. But in every other situation, we're in it together. To all of you on the front lines, those of you turning a footstool, a wok, and a pitchfork into a home gym, those of you who have given your housemates a mental breakdown because you decided lockdown was a great time to learn the keyboard and the only thing you can play after 8 weeks is chopsticks over and over and over again. And those of you who are homeschooling and are now understanding the question you used to harass your maths teacher with of, when the fuck are we ever going to need to know this in the real world, is coming back to bite you on the ass. Just remember, like a 1990s Australian sitcom, we're all in this together. The days may be long, but in times like this, you can rest assured we will be here to waste an hour of your week, Friday nights Australian time, at dlive.tv/The Starting Block. So take care, social distance, whack on a mask, and subscribe to our show on iTunes. It may not cure coronavirus, but it sure will help us with our rankings. And isn't that really the most important thing right now?
Public Radio's loss is tavshow.com's game. You're listening to The Starting Block.
Hey, welcome to Starting Block for another week. I'm Sabrina, and I'm joined by man who's especially the show was ending right now. It's just starting. My co-captain Dave, my hobby sir.
Very good, Greeno. Good evening to you, boys, girls, listenership, blockheads, millions around the world. Yeah. I was just saying to Greeno in the pre-show, I was actually gasbagging about a work situation for about 25 minutes. Before we started the show, just catching up. It's been a few weeks since we talked, I think, a couple of weeks. You know, I was just filling him in on some of the work stuff, and I look at the clock, and it's like, oh shit, it's already 9 p.m. local. And it's like, oh shit, we need to wrap this up because it's footy finals are on, Greener. And I'm wondering why we're even doing a show in September. We should actually have every September off, because how crazy is this? We watch footy all year to get to the finals, and now here we are on Friday night when the finals are on, doing a show instead. It's like, this is crazy. So
well, yeah. To be fair, I think we've used up all our weeks off already for the year.
Really? We're out of sick days.
We're out of sick days. We're sick days after all the shows we've missed this year. So,
quick little story time.
I like stories about pinatas.
Since we're talking about sick days, and you and I have both been very sick recently, I'm still very sick. I got another story about that too. Fuck the rundown tonight. It's just going to be stories about how sick we've been. I think there's basically, we should have called this show "We've Been Sick, Here's Why."
Which there's probably been about 7 different shows already this year, I think.
Yeah, a lot of them. A quick little story time. When I first moved out of home, you'll remember, Greeno, I took up residence with my old guitar teacher who was in a band at the time, and I was obviously playing in a band with you. So it was a very musical house, and we were both teenagers, but he was 3 years older than us, I think, maybe?
2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3, yeah. An older guy. So I was an apprentice butcher at the time, so I was making fuck all money. I was making about $250 a week. And so we took up residence in this old kind of fibro place that had literally asbestos in the shed. Do you remember the asbestos fucking shed that was in the backyard? All right. And it was more or less across the road from what we would call here an RSL club, which is Returned Servicemen's League club.
The Razza,
the Rissole, whatever nickname you've got for it out here in the west of Sydney. So we basically lived across the road from a Rissole, a Rizza, an RSL, an Ari. And the Aries are known for, cheap piss, Greener. Back then, you could get a schooner for $2. I think you could.
Yeah.
How old do we sound now? You could get a schooner.
Well,
for $2.
also we also had someone that you knew behind the bar, which was helpful.
That's right. So every now and then you'd get you used to pay money. You'd give him like a $20 note, and he'd give you the exact same amount back in change. He'd give you $20 in change. There you go, mate. Trying to keep it. Actually, a little side story to that.
I like stories about pinatas.
My wife's best friend, she's still best friends with her. She wasn't aware of this situation, so we're all lining up to get a drink one night. It was like a Friday night or a Saturday night. We're getting cheap drinks. And she goes up, she gives the guy a $20 note, and he gives her back the $20 in change, in loose change. And she stands there in front of everyone, counts it, and goes, "Hang on, you gave me too much." We're all going, "Shut up, you fucking idiot. Shut the fuck up. He's doing us a favor." No, look. She's going, look, you gave me $20 back. I gave you a 20. It's like, oh, God, what are you doing? You're going to fuck up this whole show for us, man. And
the other one was the triple shots where you'd get charged for a single.
That's right, yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I got to ring it up because I'm putting beers. Who cares? It was $2. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So those ones, when you get those freebies, not too bad. But when you're doing 12 of them, it adds up.
Yeah.
But the spirits, the guy's like, look, I can't be handing over free spirits. But what we'll do is we'll give you order, like, inverted commas, a single. I'll always give you a triple.
That's right.
And, basically getting 2 free drinks there.
Yeah. Good fella, good guy. I knew him from the swimming club, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. Yeah.
Years and years ago when I was a swimmer in my teenage years. So anyway, so we move in there, and obviously we're doing the things that, young teenage men do. And that's, going over there and blowing your head off every couple of days. And so I call in sick to work one day, and I get my pay packet the next week, and there's a day missing from my pay packet. And so, I go to HR and I go to payroll, and I'm like, I just want to question, why is there a day missing from my pay packet? And they said, you've actually used up all of your sick leave in the last 3 weeks.
Nice, Garry!
So in the first 3 weeks that I moved into this house, I had 9 days off sick because I was just going to the fucking bar across the road.
The bar every week. There you go.
What are you going to do, huh? So
makes a good story.
We've used up all of our sick days, though. Obviously, clearly here on the
show sick
I like
days.
stories about pinatas.
Reached out to the HR department. Yeah, they've made it very clear that
no more time off.
Definitely definitely in the minuses.
Don Camaro's like, look, I paid for 40 commercials, so
We
you
had
need to
to
do
refund.
at least 40 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to refund a little bit of cash last week with Don Camaro.
Did we?
Yeah,
Where'd we
protest.
find that cash?
It is a post-dated check, so we'll wait for Don to get in touch.
Yeah, check's in the mail, bro. Trust me, it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's it, man. Trust me. Here's the picture.
Yeah.
Here's the reason, and I did like the irony of naming this one "Footy Finals Fever," where we're doing the show instead of watching footy finals. That's how big the fever is.
Because the NRL finals are on tonight as well, aren't they?
Yeah, Broncos up 14-0 as you speak.
Are they really? I didn't expect them to beat the Storm because I'm a Broncos supporter and the Storm have always beaten the Broncos.
They've
So.
lost 14 straight games against the Storm up until tonight.
That's right.
Yet the Broncos came in as favourites somehow.
Really? That's bizarre. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, not too sure why. Well, I suppose they finished high on the ladder, but
The game's not
I was a
over.
little bit shocked.
So, if there
It's
is
pretty much over. I think they're about to score again here, so.
okay, well, if there is a chance to break the hoodoo, you want to do it in September, I guess.
Even in September, yeah. Like, fucking, they can win as many regular season games as you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think the last
There you go,
time
just
I
put up
watched.
18-0.
Beautiful. The last time I watched the Broncos beat the Storm was I think it was the 2005 grand final.
It was literally at the RSL.
Yes. No. I watched that at my then girlfriend, now wife's house.
Maybe I'm thinking of the one before that then. I remember watching a Storm v Melbourne game at the RSL on a
Storm
Saturday
v
evening.
Melbourne. Yeah.
Broncos v Melbourne.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It's been a while between drinks, but anyway, good on 'em. Hopefully they get up. Yeah.
There they go.
Is Penrith going to win it again though? The NRL? You think?
They're missing their 5'8", so he's out injured. So that's a big loss. They don't have as much depth as they have in previous years. So
'Cause when you win a premiership, all your players get picked off, don't they?
Well, they've won 2 in a row, going for a third. And they were in the grand final the year before that. So, it's been chipping away at their depth year after year.
Yeah.
But they've actually got, what Penrith's like. It's a big footy town. It's their farm system, their juniors, is just
it always
rank
has
with
been,
talent.
yeah.
So what happened historically is, instead of Penrith keeping their local juniors, they get picked off early. Whereas now they're keeping their local juniors and kicking them now, and then people are taking their first graders after they've missed their prime. So the Bulldogs have got 6 Penrith players, but they're all the shit ones.
The shit ones.
They picked the wrong ones.
They've got the shit ones.
They got the shit ones. That's why did they get spoon? I didn't get the spoon this year, but they came very close to the spoon.
What the
this year.
doggies need is to get Des Hasler back again, I think.
Yeah, you reckon Des back? I think he's in the Gold Coast now.
Is he really?
He's moved off the Gold Coast for next year, I believe.
Okay. So what about Nathan Brown, Greeno? What about the Mick Potters, Greeno?
The Mick Potters, well, that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah, the lack of Mick Potters is the issue.
What is Mick
Nathan
doing
Brown-
these days? Is he back in England or?
No, I think he's still in the NRL somewhere.
hanging
as an
around?
assistant coach.
Yeah.
Ironically, he got a chance to be a fill-in coach for some team last year before.
Ah.
Oh, no, it was the Bulldogs. That's who it was.
Ah.
And when he was in charge, they actually did all right. And then they went and hired a fucking Penrith assistant coach.
Ah, okay.
So I'm like, well, I don't know. That's why you wouldn't just keep Mick Potter?
That's no good.
The
I'm
Mick
watching,
Potters.
obviously I'm an AFL fan, so I'm watching the AFL. Collingwood got it done last night against Melbourne, Greeno. I think some people were surprised by that too, because Melbourne's been, so strong.
Didn't Collingwood finish top of the ladder?
They did, but they haven't had really good form coming in. But I think a lot of people were kind of bamboozled by the fact that Collingwood were in this situation where they'd already qualified for the finals a month before the end of the season.
Yeah, they were just cruising in.
So they didn't care. They didn't give a fuck. Yeah, they were 3 games ahead of everyone else. And then they kind of put their cue in the rack and just they lost a few games, and everyone's like, "Oh, the wheels are coming off." And it's like, really? Hang on, maybe they're leaving stuff in the tank now for the finals. So yeah, they got the job done. Only just against Melbourne last night. Melbourne probably dominated the game, but Collingwood ended up coming away with it because they started so strong. And now Carlton are kind of whipping the Swans a little bit. 47-18 at half time.
18 and a half time.
47
Is it
to
wet?
18. No, it's not. It's cold, but I don't think it's wet. So
Hang on, wait. No. You're obviously watching the right game. That sounds like an AFLW score. How do the Swans only score 18?
well, I don't know. They've kicked 6 behinds, but they've only had 2 goals. So it's 7-5 plays 2-6.
Well, there's a problem, isn't it? They've had the exact same amount of shots.
Yeah, exactly.
Accurate
Well,
ones
no,
as
no, they haven't. No. So Carlton's had 13 shots and Sydney have had 8. So it's
7-9, sorry.
7-5 to 2-6. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Carlton's obviously just doing a good job at keeping them at bay. It looked from the bit that I've watched, it looked like it was mostly played in Carlton's forward half. So Sydney haven't been. It doesn't look like Sydney have been able to kind of break out of their own defensive 50 at all.
This is bottom 4, isn't it? Bottom.
Yeah.
Bottom half
So
of the
this is fifth place 8.
Yeah, lose you're out.
Yeah, exactly. And the Giants game is tomorrow afternoon, 2:50, 3 o'clock, something like that. And we're playing St Kilda at the G. So
there you go.
That'll be a dour. That'll be a dour affair. That's basically like the two best defenses in the league against each other, the Giants and the Saints. So
18 points might have a lead at halftime.
I won't be far off it, to be honest. It'll be pretty fucking brutal. So, hey, but we like that. The Giants like that kind of a game. Just smash them, just bash and crash, and whoever's toughest wins at the end of the day. They can play that way. They don't mind. So. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is why we need to have September off, I think, from moving forward. That's it now. That's it.
Well, it sounds like you're not missing much of a game, to be fair. So all the more reason to, jump in and talk about what's happening.
All right, well, what the fuck's happening? I've got a little story time for you, Greeno.
I like stories about pinatas.
Before we get into too much, as you correctly mentioned, the irony of tonight's show, I've been sick a lot lately over the last year, and I put it down to I lay the blame at my daughter's feet, the little baby BoogieBumper baby, because
no doubt in my mind.
No, that's right, because as we've explained on the show previously, I used to do a job where I was dealing in literal garbage for 12 hours a day, and I did this for years and years and years, and I never got sick. I was fine. And for the last year now, I'm working in this nice, clean office environment. All of a sudden, I'm fucking sick as a dog all the time. I'm like a leper, Greeno. They need to ship me off to a random island. Yeah.
Humans filthier than garbage.
Yeah, because, yes, that's right. Little people are dirtier than garbage,
Yeah.
It's amazing that we spend so much time worrying about the cleanliness of the child. Wash their hands, wash their mouth, give them a bath. It's like, why bother? Let them roll around in toxic waste. The toxic waste will turn into roses, Greeno. It'll turn into a beautiful flower bed. The kid is more toxic than the toxic waste most of the time. So, I've just had infection after flu, after cold, after fucking even got conjunctivitis. I haven't had conjunctivitis since I was 7 years old, Greeno.
Yeah, because only kids catch conjunctivitis.
That's
or
it.
People that are around kids.
That one reared its ugly head again recently. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? Where did this come from? She didn't even have it, but I'm sure as shit I got it from her somehow. Yep. Her immune system is already tougher than mine, I think.
Have you had the hand, foot, and mouth yet?
There was talk of that maybe a few months ago. I don't think I had it, but someone.
That's a fun one. That's something that apparently adults can't catch.
Yeah.
Or not meant to catch.
Yeah.
But what happens is when you're taking care of a little one that has hand, foot, and mouth,
you get it.
That you are so exhausted because they can't sleep, they can't swallow. You are that exhausted that your immune system gets that weak that suddenly adults can catch hand, foot, and mouth again. I had it on the doctor said it's fine. Like when we took my little one to. Got that diagnosed, and I'm like, am I going to catch this? Like, no, adults don't catch this. It's fine. You'll be right. And 2 weeks later, I'm like, why can't I swallow? Why can't I breathe? What the fuck's going on here? Turns out, hand, foot, and mouth. I spoke to a bloke at work recently, and we're talking similar conversation what we're having now, and exact same thing happened to him. He's like, fucking hand, foot, and mouth. I'm like, excellent. I'm not the only adult that caught this fucking thing. I felt a little bit better.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better, I'm afraid. It really doesn't. So I can tell you this quick little story. On the 28th of August, Greeno, I woke up deaf in one ear. Remember?
Yeah, that was the last time we did a show.
That's right. And, I don't
hear out of this ear. You should probably get that looked at.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned it on the show, but I definitely mentioned after the show. And Greeno knows. Pre-show. And Greeno knows I'm the kind of guy, a stereotypical Aussie Western suburbs kind of guy, I guess. You don't go to the doctor unless you're fucking coughing up blood, basically. You just don't do it because I can't be bothered, The
only reason to go to a doctor is to then pronounce you dead.
You don't even go. Someone takes you. Takes your corpse to the doctor.
My theory is, I always say this to people at work, and they're like, oh, you need to go get a medical certificate. I'm like, well, if I'm ill enough, I physically shouldn't be able to go to the doctor.
That's right.
Otherwise, I could have been at work.
That's it.
Let's fucking Why are you asking me for a certificate here?
Yeah.
You want me to get out of my sick bed? I'm that ill, I can't come into the office. But hey, let's go see someone about being as sick as I'm about. There's no logic to that. So I'm similar with you. Unless I physically get dragged there, I ain't going to the doctor.
That's it. And so I'm telling Greeno about this story, and it's like, well, I'm waking up with my eyes caked full of shit. I've got conjunctivitis. It's probably from a fucking dirty nappy or something ridiculous like that. And now I've woken up and I'm fucking deaf in one ear. And Greeno's like, he's laughing. He's like, you know what though? You probably should get that checked out.
Yeah, that's one of the ones where I'm like, yeah, that seems like a doctor issue. That one.
Yeah. And I'm like,
that one you can't run it off.
I'm like, it'll be all right. But then it plays on my mind for a couple of days, and I'm like, okay, it's not getting any better. I'm still deaf in one ear. It's kind of inconvenient, it's a bit annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And
hearing's not one of those things that's overrated.
No, that's right. Yeah. And look, being when I was in a past life, being a musician, I've always thought that I'd probably rather, if that question, would you rather be deaf or blind? Yeah. I've always thought, and I'm usually the only one who says it, I'd probably rather be blind than deaf, because I would hate to think that I can't hear music anymore, because it's such a big part of my life. And I think that would, it would drive me crazy to live in silence. I could probably live in darkness more readily. Neither would be good, obviously, but I could probably adjust to living in darkness more than I could adjust to living in silence, I think.
I'm with you on that, I think, because I even today, in everyday life, I'm more likely to be listening to something, whether it be a podcast, whether it be music, whether it be a ball game, than I am to sit there and watch anything. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Now, if you're blind, someone has to drive me around everywhere, and I can listen to whatever I want. Yeah. So if someone has to lead me around, I can be drunk at a bar and they'll go, yeah, he's blind. And it's like, no shit. So there's a joke as well. I can get gags in as well. But if I'm deaf, I can't hear what's going on.
You're a dog lover, so you get yourself your own CNI dog as well.
That's it. If I love dogs, and if I'm deaf though, I can't make any gags. I can't, have any witty retorts to anything that's said around me. And I'll eventually start talking like this, And, that'd be awful, I think. I can see everything, but who wants to see the current world? It's awful out there.
Terrible,
What's there to look at, Greeno? There's nothing good to look at out there. Yeah, that's it. So imagine not being able to hear your favorite music ever again. How heartbreaking that would fucking be, And then it's like, well, imagine not being able to see Mount Druitt shops. And it's like, well, I can do without that.
Yeah, we can deal with that. I can hear someone trying to roll me in advance.
Yeah. No one's going to rob a blind guy. It'll be fine. Yeah. I'm all right. So I'm deaf in one ear now, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll go to the doctor and see what's going on. And I go to the doctor, and she's lovely. Now, there's a local kind of doctor's surgery. I haven't found a doctor that like a family doctor kind of doctor for a long time now. And it's also impersonal now. And it's like, I'm still looking for one. It's like I'm dating doctors. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you also keep in mind, you need to find one for the BoogieBumper baby.
That's right. I do. But we're also planning to move. But we're also planning to move down the coast in a few years. And it's like, so do I want to hook her up with a doctor now? Or do I want her to just date doctors for a couple of years?
She's going to be sick, as you already demonstrated, sick a lot in the next year, 2 years. So you probably need to lock one in. We found one of our old players.
But I can't commit, Greeno. That's the problem.
Yeah, but still, you got to lock something in for a nice little short-term 2-year relationship. Just
a little fling.
Put it out on Front Street. We'll be there 2 years, and then we're going to go our separate ways. How does that sound?
Yeah.
And the doctor will be in for it. They'll be fine.
Oh, of course, we keep swiping that Medicare card. They'll do whatever. It's fine. They won't give a fuck. So I haven't been able to find like a kind of proper family doctor. So I go down and I see a new one, and it's another youngish one, and she's lovely. Don't get me wrong, she's nice. But I have, as someone who has, in the last year probably seen a doctor more than I've seen them in the last 10 years. I have made this observation that I don't think I like young doctors, Greeno.
Nice.
Really? I thought the same thing until we had to start taking the kid to the doctors, right? And hear me out. Here was my rationale, because what I know is the local medical practice we found our old joint was 2 old doctors, and they'd bring 2 kind of like fresh out of university
Yeah.
trainee doctors as well. And you'd kind of get put with either one and it was fine. Now, I like the young doctors because they hadn't been destroyed by the medical world yet. They still had optimism. They still had some bedside manner. They still tried. My theory was they probably had fresh knowledge as well. Not an old doctor. I don't need to go to that seminar. I know everything about medicine. We're all sweet.
But no
And you feel
experience.
about leeches. You like leeches. So, but the counter-argument that is, yes, the experience. But my theory, it's an interesting dynamic. I didn't mind the young doctors, but when shit got serious, I'm like, hey, you just want to go double check that.
Well,
Go speak to the old.
let me give you an example of why I don't like young doctors, Greeno, because I think they're more of a hypochondriac than my own mother is. Okay. Now, I went to the doctor and I explained my situation. I'm like, yeah, okay, look, this is what I'm dealing with, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, so, what do you think? She's like, all right, first off, we need to book you in for a whole series of scans. And I'm like, no. See, now, come on. Now.
Here's what we do.
No.
You look in my ear.
Yeah.
You go, yep.
Yeah.
I can either work it out or I can't, and we move on.
Now, give me the leech guy, okay?
Yeah.
Because it took enough effort for me to come here in the first place. And now what you're doing is expecting me to go to half a dozen other places, okay?
Yeah.
We
That
don't
was part
even
of
know
it,
if that's necessary or not. And she's like, no, we treat these things very seriously. I want you to go get scans. I want you to do this. I want you to have a hearing test. I'm like, pardon me. I'm like, okay. All right. Give me the fucking referral then.
Yeah.
Okay. So she goes, okay, I'm going to book you in for a hearing thing at this place in Blacktown. I'm like, okay, you know what? Blacktown's too far. Is there anywhere that's closer? She's like, okay, well, there is a place that, does it closer. I'm like, good. Book me in. Why didn't you send me there then? She said, well, I haven't done any referrals there yet. And I'm like, well, why not? She goes, because I don't know if they bulk bill. I'm like, you know what? I'll pay the fucking fee. I'm not going to this other place. I'm not driving halfway across the city.
Money.
That's it.
And you're not going to go to Blacktown. No one's going to Blacktown.
You haven't
Everyone
figured out
Blacktown,
yet.
don't wanna go to Blacktown.
You haven't figured out yet that my own health is below my own financial health on the totem pole of priorities here in my life right now with the baby BoogieBumper baby. Okay, money's tight, Greeno. Mortgages are up. We've all got to tighten our belts. So you know what? If I have to go deaf in one ear to save a few bob, that's what I'm going to fucking do. Okay,
What are you going to do?
yeah. So I'm like, all right, doesn't matter. I'm going to go to this other local place. I go there, and it turns out I have like severe hearing loss in my right ear. And now this place says to me, okay, so based on these results, what we're going to do is we're going to book you in to see our clinician. I'm like, here we go. Here it goes.
Oh, wait, so not an infection, like actual hearing loss, deafness.
Deafness in one ear.
That's the diagnosis. Like, hey, yeah, that's gone. They ain't coming back.
But I knew I was deaf in that ear. That's why I went in the first place. I didn't have to go for a test for that. I told you. This is why I showed up here in the first. I know. So you're not telling me anything new. They're like, you've got significant hearing loss in your right ear. I'm like, yes, I know. That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
and I'm only here because the doctor told me to fucking come here in the first place. You know what I mean? I went to the doctor to fix it. Now, the
outcome of this story is they've told me I've got no hearing and there is no treatment. That's just pissing away money.
You'd almost want that to be the end of the story to justify all the fucking stuff that you're doing,
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor because I got hearing loss. I don't know. Maybe she didn't believe me or something. It's like, I'll go and get a hearing test. And it's like, well, hang on. I know that I've got hearing loss. I don't have to have a hearing test. I know. And it's like, no, you got to have a hearing test.
There's this lady at my local shopping center, and it's like old people hearing tests. But she stands out the front and like tries to get people in. And my argument is always, if they can hear you,
they will come.
There's no need for them to go in.
Yeah.
If the people that walk past you probably need to go get.
Yeah. Maybe you need a megaphone too if you stand out the front there.
Yeah, possibly.
Scooting people up who can't hear you. So, all right, I go and get the hearing test. Yeah, you've got hearing loss. Yeah, fucking no. Thanks for the revelation. I go back to the doctor and I say, look, here's the results here's the test that you wanted me to get. Now, do you believe me? And she's like, oh, okay, you do have hearing loss. I'm like, I know. That's why I came here in the first place. She's like, okay, what I need to do now is I need to book you in for an exam at Westmead Hospital. I'm like, okay, now look.
Nice, Garry!
Now, why didn't you do that to begin with? Okay.
Yeah.
I told you I had hearing loss. You've made me. What you've basically done here is under the guise of treatment, you've made me go out and prove the diagnosis that I know that I already had that you should have fucking known because you're the fucking doctor.
This isn't diagnosis. You haven't got a diagnosis yet. You've got a symptom.
I've got a symptom.
Diagnosis.
That's right. So I've told you about the symptom. You've gone off and made me prove the symptom, which you should have been able to prove because you're a fucking doctor, okay?
Yeah.
Now, I want you to go off to fucking Westmead Hospital and have this fucking hearing, a hearing examination. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, fine. Now, she books it in for me, and it's like, all right, great, fantastic. So now I'm at a specialist. Now, this specialist definitely doesn't bulk bill, Greeno.
There's no bulk billing with the specialist. I kind of realize that, and my bank balance has learnt that over the last 6 months.
Oh, yeah. No, you pay through the nose. $300 just to walk in the room, Greeno. $300. I will say this though, because it was a private hospital, very clean and quiet in there.
Yeah.
Very clean, very quiet. They had a little cafe in there, that nobody was bothering with.
Things look good. Yeah, no crackheads in the waiting room.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what I said to the lady books. I said, you know what? I appreciate the fact that I didn't have to sit there in the emergency room with people scratching themselves, sniffing a lot. That's usually what happens at hospitals around where we grew up, So I didn't have to put up with any of that. I kind of strolled right in. I walk in there and it's sometimes the universe just plays tricks with you. The woman working behind the counter speaks so softly I couldn't hear a fucking word she was saying. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this has to be a joke.
Was she speaking softly, or was this part of your symptoms?
She was genuinely speaking softly.
Yeah.
It's like, hello. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me here?
No, I reckon that lady's there as a decoy, right? Once again, she's trying to weed out the fakers.
Weed out the fakers?
Like, we're not wasting our time here.
Why would anyone fake it for $300? What are they getting out of that? A $300 gag.
Greeno. Workers' compensation thing. I don't know.
Oh, mate. So she speaks so quietly, and they're one of these dumb fucking places that still has that COVID screen up. So I can't even lean in to hear her. I'd have to headbutt this perspex screen. I can't hear a fucking word she's saying. Turns out that my doctor, the one who was so terrified about my hearing loss, didn't even send the fucking referral to them in the first place. She hands me a card and says, can you go and call them and have them email us the referral? I'm like, I'm fucking here for this, Yeah. I drove all the way out of here for this fucking...
I did my rant about the referrals on the show previously, didn't I?
Yeah, maybe.
Referrals are a scam, right?
Okay.
Why do we need a referral? You are seeing that doctor. You handed over your $300. Why do you need to see a different doctor to say, go see this other doctor? What are we doing here?
Yeah. Why can't I just call up and book? Like, if I want to spend the $300, why can't I do that?
Why can't I just call them up? It's no different.
No,
like
special access.
Why does that piece of paper tell that doctor that you can't tell them when you walk in? Hey man, can't hear. That's what that piece of paper says. It's a waste of fucking time.
Well, it's actually funny you say that because the first thing I ended up having to call my doctor, get them to fucking email the referral over. And I swear to God, Greeno, it's so funny you say that. I swear to God. Yeah. Okay, so they now have the referral. The woman with the soft voice prints it out for him so he can read it. The first thing he does when we sit down in his office, he reads it and he looks at me and he goes, so tell me in your own words what's wrong. Yeah. I'm like, well, what's the fucking point of the referral then?
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. It's like you just read it. You just read it right there in front of you.
The world just goes along with you can have your conspiracy theories about 1,000 different things in this world. There's nothing that a referral is needed. No. In any way, shape, or form, that you couldn't just do yourself.
I think it's like special access. It's like a special gold. I got a golden ticket. I got a referral.
Yeah, true. The one that pisses me off the most is the referral where the specialist has asked you to come back.
Yes.
So I got this situation. So my eye specialist, they're like, come back in 12 months for a checkup. I'm like, sweet. All right, I'll see you in 12 months. Like, yeah.
I'll just book that shit in.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. And they're like, yeah, you'll just have to make sure you get a new referral. I'm like, no, you told me to come back.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, but you got to get a new referral from like your GP.
Why do I?
But the GP didn't tell me to come. You told me to come.
That's right.
I'm going to go to a GP, and the GP is going to say, what do you want? I'm like, well, I need to refer to this doctor. Well, why do you need to go to the doctor? Well, the doctor told me to come back to the doctor.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you the fucking story as well now. You don't need to know the story.
There's no need.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no need. You told me to come back. So I'm going to challenge this. I'm going to rock up next February.
Yeah.
with no referral.
I'm here
And when they
because
go,
you
"Oh,
told me to
referral,"
be here.
And I'm like, I don't need it. And like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, your note said come back in 12 months for a checkup. There's your referral. There's nothing that a GP has that is going to provide any new information, because I haven't seen them for anything other than, hey, this doctor told me to get another referral sheet.
You're asking me for a referral. You referred me.
Yeah.
The referral is you asking me to be here. That's the referral. There is there's no need for another fucking referral.
Can your own doctor write a referral for themselves? Because that's the situation, right?
Yeah.
Who referred me? You referred me because you told me to come back in 12 months.
You're right. It's a complete scam. No, you're right. No, it's a worthwhile sidetrack. It's a complete fucking scam. And I guess this is the specialist way of giving some fucking money back to the original doctor. Like, this is the way, this is how they slice a little bit off the top, Greeno. Because to get a referral, you need to swipe your Medicare card again. So that means the GP gets their little fee again.
Well, my GP doesn't bulk bill, so I have to fork out fucking cash.
Well, there you go. Nice, Gary.
Nice, Garry.
So you're now going back to the GP for the sole purpose of getting permission to go back to the specialist who told you to come back to the specialist.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So, you know, they got to share the love, right? The GP refers you to the specialist. The specialist makes you go back to the GP to get another referral, and it never fucking ends. Everybody gets paid this way, Greeno, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he sits me down and he's like, all right, so tell me in your own words. I'm like, well, okay, I appreciate the opportunity to speak, so thank you. You know, and I explain the situation. I'm like, I woke up.
Can't hear out of my ear.
Yeah, I can't.
What's going on?
I woke up deaf, you know. And he's like, so how's your health generally? And I'm like, oh, you know what? Probably not too bad, but I have been sick a lot. Well, no, I said I have been sick a lot, like in the last kind of 6 months.
Yeah.
And he's like, right. And I said, because, you know, our little one, she's mixing in daycare and it's just been a circle of death, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, right. And I'm like, yeah, so, you know, I've had fucking, you know, cold, flu, sore throat, conjunctivitis, just fucking constantly for the last 6 months. I even said to him, I used to be a garbage man. I've never been this sick in my entire life. And he's like, what do you do now? And I'm like, I work in an office, ironically. And he's like, right. And he goes, okay. So he sits me down. And he does this thing where he hits this kind of little metal bar, you know, like I forget what you call it, actually. You know, piano tuners use it to tune piano, like ding, creates that perfect note. And he holds it up to my ear, and I'm like, yep. So that's the ear that I'm deaf in. And he's like, okay. And he holds it up to my other ear, and I'm like, yep, I can hear out of that one. And then he goes, okay. So he does it again, and then he kind of holds it up to my head and puts his hand behind my deaf ear, and he's like, is it louder now? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, good. And then he does it again, and he kind of does this weird thing where he holds it to one side of my head and then puts it behind my ear, not next to my ear, but behind my ear. And he's like, so is it louder or quieter? And I'm like, louder. And he's like, okay. He goes, all right, come into this other room and sit down on this chair. I'm like, okay. So I walk into this other room, and he's doing something. He's preparing something that he's going to shove up my nose. And I'm like, yeah. So I said, so I'm amazed. How is it possible that, you know, I could hear better in my right ear just now when I've been deaf in it for the last 2 weeks? And he says some big word. He could have been making it up. I don't know. Yeah. I feel like half the time these specialists are like mechanics, and then, like, you know, they're like, well, yeah, obviously your flux capacitor has a discombobulation within the, you know, the metric system there, and we're going to have to replace that. And it's like, oh, most people go, oh, well, that sounds, you know, like a problem. So he says something about my tube or somewhere or something. He's like, yeah, that indicates such and such. I'm like, okay, well, don't use big words, man. Okay. You know, like, clearly I've been referred here. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So I don't think my doctor who referred me here wouldn't even know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm sure he made a very good case. And I'm like, well, okay, that's great. I'm sure everything he said was above board. And he sprays this shit in my nose. All right. And then he shoves this fucking thing up my nose and he goes, say cat. And I'm like, cat? And he goes, yep, okay, good. And he pulls it out. And he's like, all right, you're going to be fine in about 6 weeks. And I'm like, right. And I said, but I'm deaf in this ear. And he goes, yeah, so actually what's happening is this is a present from your daughter.
Nice, Garry!
I'm like, okay. He said, this is a present from your daughter and you have many more to come. Basically what it is it's some kind of infection that I've got.
Sinus type thing?
Sinus or cold or whatever. And there's what's happening is there's a fluid buildup behind my eardrum. that's closing my ear off. That's, making it seem like I'm deaf. And I'm like, well, that's a great relief. He stuck this thing in my ear and he goes, can you just pop your ear for me? And I'm like, all right. And I do it. And he goes, yeah, I can see the fluid there. And I'm like, okay. Greeno, I was in there for 9 minutes.
Seriously, think you're in the first place.
9 minutes. And so I'm driving home and I'm like, so now I'm conflicted because I'm entirely relieved that I'm not going deaf.
Yeah.
Because my hypochondriac young doctor who wanted to send me for half a dozen fucking scans and tests believed that I was going to. I'm saying to this specialist, look, I used to play in a rock band and, we didn't wear earplugs or anything back then. Is that a problem? And he's just he's like, no, maybe. Like he's played it cool, And I'm like, I said, oh, look, the other day when I was in the shower, I kind of heard the acoustics change in a room and I was really positive. I felt like my ear was popping, but now it's kind of bad again. I said, I have really bad ringing in my ear at the moment, but I could have had that the whole time and never noticed it. It's just that I notice it now because everything's muted. And he's like, yep. So he's not even paying attention to me, Right,
because he already knows the
He already knows what the problem is.
He padded it out for another 7. So he feels like he got 300 worth.
That's it. I'm thinking I'm going fucking deaf or something at this point because, so on one hand, I'm driving home and I'm thinking, well, I'm pretty happy about this because it turns out that it's just some random kind of weird cold, like, it's a weird thing that I've picked up from the baby BoogieBumper baby who's just been bringing diseases into the house fucking constantly. And you know what? He didn't even prescribe me anything. He's just like, yeah, give it 6 weeks. It'll clear up.
It'll go away.
It'll go away on its own. I'm like, right, okay. So on one hand, I'm happy about that. But then I get home and I tell the lady Boogs about it. And she's like, so why didn't the fucking doctor know this?
Well, she's not an ear specialist.
But all he did was stick a thing in my ear and look and go, pop your ear. And he goes, yeah, I can see the fluid in there. I can see it. So if all you had to do was look, why did I have to
look? Well, let's go back. Literally, if I can step back in time.
But this is why I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
Exact thing you needed to do. I'm like, no. All you do is look in my ear, tell me what the issue is, and then leave.
But this is what I'm saying.
I said fucking 20 minutes ago.
Now maybe this is where experience comes into play because I feel like an older doctor might have seen this before and wouldn't have panicked and said, "Oh, obviously you're going deaf. You need to have a series of very expensive tests, in order to determine the cause of your deafness." Maybe an old doctor would go, yeah, hang on a sec. Just let me have a look in there. Well, there you go. There's my fucking ear story.
I like stories about pinatas.
I'm not going deaf after all.
It's weird the little tests they can do, though. Like, post-op, when I have my checkup, doctors are like, all right. And literally just put, like, a small little thing, put his hand somewhere and maybe do, like, either say a word or cough. I forget which one it was. And he's like, okay, yep, do it again, do it again.
Cough is usually when they stick things in your ass. They get you to cough.
Just touch on my belly. And then he's like, okay, you've got fluid there and there. And I'm like, how do you know? All you do is fucking touch it and go, do cough or say this word.
The fluid whisperer, yeah.
The fluid is like, there's fluid in there, that'll go away, blah, 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 blah. All right, like, at least check. Happy days, let's move on.
Yeah. See, the thing is...
What you're hearing, though, that's the positive.
It will come back, yeah. The thing is, though, doctors argue all the time. Like, most people think that medicine is like this kind of... Like it's some kind of unquestionable, like everyone involved in medicine like sings from the same hymn sheet. It's just not fucking true. Like we've had experiences where, our pediatricians, for example, and our GP, they'll give us the exact opposite advice, and like the like our pediatrician will be like, the baby BoogieBumper baby, the GP will be like, oh, this is very bad for the baby BoogieBumper baby, blah, 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 blah. And they'll refer you to a specialist, and the specialist says, oh, this is very bad. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe we should see this pediatrician, see what he thinks. And we've had an experience where the pediatrician has gone, so did the this specialist that you talk about, is this, Dr. Such and Such? And we'll go, yeah. And he'll go, yeah. He always over fucking compensates. It's like, hang on, how many referrals are you getting from this guy now?
He's on the take.
Yeah, he's on the take, totally. But at least the pediatrician is like, no, we know this guy. He always overdiagnoses and makes it worse, and it actually is. She's fine. She's perfect. Don't worry about it.
She'll be right. Yeah.
She's going to be fine. you do, mate? You may as well go back to witch doctory at this point. What's
At this point, yeah, it's a bit of a flip of a coin.
That's why I
really.
said give me the leech guy.
Yeah.
How bad can it be?
And once again, all the more reason to not go to the doctor.
Ever.
You really need to. Very good.
There you go. That's my story.
I like stories
that's a good
about
story.
pinatas.
Yeah.
We'll probably just start the rundown at some point, I guess.
Well, we'll kick it off. We'll do what you got to do, and then we'll get out of here by the end of 3/4 time. How about that? We've been going.
Sounds good.
We've been going for
Quick,
45 minutes. So
yeah.
you've got a story, don't you? What's your story?
Yeah, well, not story time. I got a nice Garry, if I can.
Nice, Garry.
It's a nice Garry. Now, it was about 8 weeks ago now. I made a comment about the air freshener that the lady Greeno purchased. It's not like Golden Rough.
That's
At the time,
right.
I was a little bit down on it because I didn't know how I felt. I was a little bit conflicted having my bathroom smell like Golden Rough.
Yeah, I don't know if I like getting hungry whilst I'm taking a shit.
Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not what I want. But so I was a little bit torn on it. And it was only this week when I was doing the shopping list. And I realised that, I better get a new air freshener because this one's just run out. I reflected back. I'm like, I spoke about that on the show 6 weeks ago. I must have had that air freshener for 4 weeks. I got 10 weeks out of the Golden Rough air freshener.
Really?
That needs a fucking nice Garry. You show me another air freshener that lasts 10 weeks.
Without a refill.
Without a refill. The Golden Rough air freshener is there for the win. So that
I don't know. I've never been
nice
a big air freshener guy. I like my little scented candles and stuff like that.
We've got what are the things that it's a bowl with some smelly shit and it's the sticks that come out of them.
Potpourri. Oh, that
Potpourri.
oil shit, Greeno.
Yeah, the oil. Wife's got that thing happening in there.
Yeah.
As well. I don't know what that does because it still smells terrible.
So you know what? You can't go wrong with it. In certain situations, like let's say you have a little curry the night before, Greeno. You can't go wrong with just a bit of Glen 20, can you? Let's just fill the air with aerosol.
Yeah.
And just let's not only kill the germs, but oxygen and anything
Just
living
everything.
in the room
Yeah.
as well. Some air fresheners you need to just spray in there, and then you walk in the next day and the plant is fucking dead. That's sitting on the sink. It's like, all right, we've got rid of the smell. It's going to be.
We've done our job. Yeah, we've polluted that.
Absolutely. I've heard a life hack, Greeno. You put some coffee grounds in there, apparently.
In what? In the toilet?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. They do something to the coffee grounds, like old coffee grounds or something. So you have that kind of coffee smell. Because you know how you always have to take a shit when you have coffee?
Yeah.
So they do something where, I can't remember exactly, but they do something to the coffee grounds and they put that in there and it's kind of like a nice coffee smell in the toilet, Greeno.
Well, the coffee's already causing the problem.
Yeah, but it's just encouraging. It's just like a...
It's like a balance.
It's like a fast lane. Yeah.
It's kind of balancing itself. Going, the coffee's sitting in here, and the coffee's going to take care of the odor while you're here. Good work. I don't mind it.
Homemade coffee potpourri, I think. Google it, see what you come up with.
I'll look it up. Yeah. But yeah, nice Garry there to the Golden Rough spray.
Nice, Garry!
Fantastic.
Let's do a little bit of multitasking hero, Damo. I saw this on the Twitter feed throughout the course of the week, and we always like trying to find. All of us, we try and get as much accomplished as we possibly can. Generally not whilst driving though. And we saw this pop up last week.
I don't know about that. I've both been involved with and been a passenger. I've been both a driver and a passenger of multitasking whilst driving. The best that I've done personally is when I first got my truck driver's license. I was 19 because back then you didn't. Nowadays, I don't think you can even have a full license until you're like 21. But I got in like a few months. Right. Yeah, I got in like 3 months before the rules changed.
I was like that last window before you had to go like L's, P's, and then straight license.
How lucky were we?
L's, then green P's or red P's for 2 years, and then green P's for 2 years.
No. I think I had L's for 6 months and then P's for a year, and then I was full license bang straight away as like an 18-year-old or 17 and a half or whatever it fucking was. And then I had to wait like another 6 months and then I could go and get my truck license. So I was like an 18-year-old driving a truck, and it was my first truck driving job, and I was doing removals at the time, Greeno. And I don't know if you're familiar, if you're out there in the audience and you've worked in removals, you know this. There are two things that is true about working in removals. One, you'll be working with a lot of Pacific Islanders who call you cuzzy all day. Hey, cuzzy bro. Hey, cuzzy bro, cuzzy bro. There was a guy who worked there who literally his name was Cuzzy Bro. They even put Cuzzy Bro on his pay slip. That's how many people called him fucking Cuzzy Bro. Okay, Cuzzy Bro. There was another guy there named Coco, okay, because he called everyone Coco, so therefore he was Coco. So the Cuzzy Bro, Coco, and a lot of Islanders, so a lot of Pacific Islanders who, how you going, bro? You, bro, bro. And the other demographic that's involved in removals, Greeno, is 50-year-old white alcoholics.
Nice, Garry.
Okay, old alcoholic dudes. And so this was my first truck driving job, and I'm surrounded by big drinking fucking Islanders and big drinking alcoholic 50-year-old men. And, the 50-year-old men would actually drink the big Islanders under the table because they got experience, Greeno.
Yeah, they got that liver damage that takes care of business.
Yeah, they just piss blood. It comes straight out.
Straight out, no mucking about.
Mate, I would show up there at 6 a.m. and they'd already be a 6-pack in. Like just sitting in the car park waiting for the gate to open, they'd already have 6 in their belt, under their belt. And it's like, we haven't even started yet. I'm having a coffee and these guys are drinking 6. So I remember in that job, driving my first truck driving job, Parramatta Road, the old Parramatta Road, how awful it was and how tight it is.
Well, still gridlock now.
Still gridlock. But especially,
no matter what time of day, that particular road has a magical talent
of just being gridlocked all the time.
Gridlock, no matter what time. I've driven early morning, mid morning, weekends, weekdays, school holidays, public holidays. No matter what time it is, 2 a.m, 3 in, every minute of the day, gridlock.
It's actually changed a lot now since they opened up all the tunnels and stuff under the city. So it's probably not as bad. Yeah, it's not as bad now. But back then it was just gridlocked all the time. And trucks, when you were driving a truck on Parramatta Road, because the lanes are so small, because Sydney was designed for horse and carts in the fucking 1700s, right? So all of our roads are incredibly tight and small and one way. It's impossible to drive around Sydney if you're not from here. And even if you're from here, you could live here your whole life and get lost in Sydney, no problem. Like people do it all the time. So, you're driving around and the fucking, it's so tight. You're in a truck. You would have to, if there were 3 trucks, there would be 3 lanes on Parramatta Road. If there are 3 trucks, then you would have to kind of dodge around the mirrors of the other truck if one lane was moving faster than the other. And by doing so, you're at risk of hitting the car that's in the lane next to you whilst you're dodging the mirror. It was fucking ridiculous. So I would remember driving as an 18-year-old. I reckon I had my license for like 2 weeks at this point. And I had a long neck of, it was 9:30 in the morning. I had a long neck of beer between my legs and rolling a cigarette whilst I was changing gears on fucking Parramatta Road. So that was one of them.
Nice, Garry.
And then, of course,
I can recall similar. This is back when I used to sleep Maccas. Was driving a manual, smashing a Big Mac in one hand, cigarette in the other. Yep. And drink between the knees.
Yes.
And still driving somehow. And once again on P plates.
Of course,
Probably not the smartest move. So there was multitasking involved.
We also have the obligatory drinking whiskey whilst getting head whilst driving. That was, of course, something that happened, as an 18, 19-year-old. If you haven't done that, you haven't lived. I'm sorry.
You haven't lived,
Yeah, straight out of the bottle whiskey and getting head at the same time, driving in traffic. Have a go at that, kids, if you're out there, if you're listening on. And I do remember once do you remember Jolly, Greeno? Of course, Jolly. Of course. He was driving and I was a passenger on this occasion and we were all smoking bongs, obviously. And he borrowed his mum's car, which was a little, do you remember the Mazda 121? That tiny little, they used to call it the jelly bean. I
remember that one.
He's like, it's all good, boys. I borrowed my mum's car. There was 9 of us in this car. Okay, this 121.
Can barely fit 2 in general in that car.
That's it. So he was driving. I was in the passenger seat because I was the tallest. And there were 7 guys in the back. So you had 4 sitting, 2 sitting on the floor, and then one guy was laying across them with his feet out of one window and his head sticking out the other in the back seat.
So anyway, you can fit in a Mazda 121.
Nice, Garry.
Oh, mate. Fuck. To be young again, hey? To not give a fuck.
To be young and not care about the consequences.
That's it. Now I'm driving around with the baby BoogieBumper baby in the back and I'm like, slow down, you idiot.
But like 90% of my conversations in the car are like, are you buckled in? We buckled in? We're right? Okay, be comfortable? Everything's all
Everyone's
right?
safe
Excellent.
back there? Yep, got your seatbelts on? Yep.
Let's go 5 kilometers under the speed limit, I think. Those kind of situations. Yeah, similar back in the day. It was like, how many people can I squeeze? Because only like 4 guys in high school had their car. Or everyone had their license, but only like 4 or 5 people would have their car.
Yeah.
Like have a car. Not everyone had a job. Not everyone had parents who could buy them a car. So it was always that little bit of a balance in high school. So it was like, oh, okay, we've got to get 20 people down to Burger King. We've only got 3
How
cars.
are we going to do this?
All right, we need guys in the boot. We need
No one gets left
everyone's
behind.
doing each
It's like a war
other's
zone.
laps. Yeah, you'll be all right. We'll get down there. But this is a bit of multitasking from the old neck of the woods where I used to be. This is from the MacArthur Facebook notice board, and you get some good stuff on there. To the parents of the red, of course, it's red P plate female driver in the light blue Honda Jazz, very small car, very reminiscent of the
Jelly Bean.
Mazda 121. On Camden Bypass just before 11 a.m. on a Saturday. So it's 11 a.m. on a Saturday.
11 a.m. Saturday. So are they up for, like, are they starting Saturday early or are they finishing Friday late? We don't know.
Exactly, to be determined. Please remind her to safe driving.
Yeah, driving whilst drinking a milkshake or whatever. Now, we know, Greeno, when you see a P-plater drinking a Macca's thick shake, you have to assume that there's vodka in it, okay?
It's not actually a thick shake.
It's not actually a thick shake.
It's always a mixed drink.
This is a well-known thing from our time back when we were kids, okay?
Yeah.
It's probably a vodka drink of some description. You just put it in a Macca's thick shake cup so nobody asks you any fucking questions, okay?
Yeah, it's not an open container.
That's right. That's it. So driving whilst drinking, we know all the tricks, kids, okay? We've been there, we've done it.
Vodka, orange or whatever.
We fucking invented the tricks. What are you talking about, okay? We invented this shit. Driving whilst drinking a milkshake or whatever, whilst playing her boyfriend's phone and allowing him to motorboat her whilst doing well in excess of her 90 kilometers an hour.
Nice, Garry.
Can we just give a little nice Garry to the boyfriend too? Going in for the motorboat?
The motorboat.
So she's driving on his phone, drinking the thick shake or whatever, which is clearly not a thick shake, probably a vodka drink of some description. And he's the passenger. Now, you would think that, the chivalrous gentleman would say, babe, you've had too much. Let me drive you home, babe.
Yeah, no, he's busy. He's got shit to do.
No, he's going to rub his face in some titties, Greeno. He's doing.
Question for you. Where is he positioned? Because if he's in the passenger seat, does it count as a motorboat if you're going across?
Good question. Yeah, I guess.
I assumed you have to be kind of in the middle, right?
No, I think the motorboat is just the noise you make. It's like.
Okay. So it can be done one boob. Doesn't need to be 2. Doesn't need to be middle. It can be horizontal. Let's put it to the group. Let's put it to the chat.
Maybe her titties are big enough that he can kind of cup them and hold them up.
Get under, maybe. Yeah.
Kind of push them up a little bit and then motorboat in whatever direction he wants.
Yeah.
Maybe he could put one on top of the other and then motorboat side on. Greeno.
Side on, yeah. Could have moved him across. Fair
could have been a saggy titty P-plater.
Yeah.
They are out there. Whilst doing in excess of 90 kilometres an hour, she was pulling away from me as we reached 90, then 100. So this guy admits he was speeding too. Okay.
No, because they're a P-plater, so they're capped at 90, and you can do 100.
Can you? Not staying.
Yeah. P-platers can do 90. Anyone else can do 100.
Right. Not so. Well, that's obviously that's not a rule that anyone sticks to. Clearly.
No, because what ends up happening is people honk you because you're doing like 80 or 90 in 110 zone.
That's
I
right.
can speed up. I'm like, I can't. Then it's actually more dangerous for you to do the speed limit than not do the speed limit.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, if I do 100, I'm causing less issue because I'm going at the same speed as everyone, not 20 kilometers slower in the left-hand lane.
I've actually said for a long time that ultra defensive driving is actually far more dangerous than ultra aggressive driving. So.
It's a fine line.
As someone who was a professional driver.
180.
Well, no, as someone
that's
who was a
dangerous.
professional driver for a long time, driving like big, heavy trucks and stuff. Trust me.
You don't want to be slamming the brakes on quick.
Yeah, no.
I
I much prefer someone like whizzing past me than someone sitting in front of me who's doing unpredictable things like braking too early and stuff. I don't want that happening. I saw 2 separate drivers yelling to her on the M5 to drive safely, to which she would jump on the brakes in the far right lane, obstructing the flow of traffic, as shown from the passenger seat of our car. Slow down and then speed up to overtake both drivers is so dangerous, as well as doing 110 kilometers an hour when she should be doing 90 kilometers at best. We've had far too many youth die on local roads. Oh, fucking play a violin.
Nice, Garry.
No, skip all that because there's nothing amusing there. I like this bit though.
And I would
Please
hate
help her.
yeah. Please
Please
help.
help her learn so she doesn't become such an awful statistic. Now, imagine that conversation. Like, you think she doesn't know that it's probably not a smart idea to drive whilst drinking a milkshake?
Of course she knows.
Vodka,
The thing is she doesn't care.
Play it
That's
on a
the-
phone and be a motorboat. Surely, I don't think this is a learning moment.
It's not a learning opportunity, Greeno, you think?
No, I think this is just a general behavioural thing that is probably not going to be rectified anytime soon.
This is the thing. Kids know that it's dangerous. That's why they're doing it.
They're doing it, yeah.
They know it's dangerous. The difference is they don't care. When you get older, you start to care more about
Start to
doing
care.
dangerous
Because you
things.
start to face your mortality. And
That's
you start
right.
thinking about those things.
That's right. But when you're young, you just don't care. You know it's dangerous, but you don't care. So, you know, that's the way it goes. So
nice, Garry.
Yeah,
Hopefully
very
that
nice,
was
Garry.
well
Yeah.
Nice, Garry.
Well done. Well done, young lady. Fantastic.
yeah,
I'm surprised the Honda Jazz could get up to 100 k's an hour, though, to be honest.
Yeah, that's where I was like, yeah, someone's
What a piece of shit.
exaggerating a little bit here. There's no way that Honda Jazz gets 110. You put rocket fuel on that thing, it's not getting to 110.
Oh, we've got to show this one, Greeno. This is fantastic.
Is this the Sexist Bloc?
This is Sexist Bloc, Greeno. Oh, hang on a minute. We've got a soundbite for that.
Misogynists and
Chauvinists and sexist.
This is footy time. Footy finals fever demo. And it also means it's time for a little bit of club prezos. People like before the finals or if the season's finished.
One
they
of
like
the
to get
biggest
out there.
clubs in the NRL, the Newcastle Knights, Greeno. Huge club, huge following, huge fan base, a lot of
Yeah.
history.
They made the finals this year, so they're just kind of like, let's get the presentation right out of the way early and then focus on the finals. And there's a report claiming that the CEO of the Newcastle Knights did a little speech, decided to do some mateer up there
Nice.
on the podium. And look, whenever you've only worked corporate for about a year,
2
year and a
years
half.
now, yeah.
Yes. I've been in corporate a long time, and whenever a CEO or any kind of upper management gets a microphone,
Oh,
they
God.
get a bit of a sniff of Seinfeld about them. They're just like, oh, what's
They
the
think it's
deal?
their opportunity to dazzle
Their
the
opportunity.
audience with their wit and humour.
Yeah, just because you got a microphone doesn't mean you need to joke. And then you have the sycophants who laugh along with it.
Oh, God,
and
how
then
pathetic.
It's very pathetic. It's very reminiscent of politicians and whatnot.
Yeah.
So look, good on Phil for at least sticking to the stereotype of what a CEO does when they get a microphone in front of him, because he's like, I'm going to make a few remarks because at a presentation, you know what I want to hear from?
Yeah.
I want to hear from the fucking CEO, Damo. I want to hear from the big at a footy presentation.
Yes,
Get
mate.
his what do you have to say?
I love this. He said, a good speech should be like a woman's skirt, long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to keep you interested.
and misogynists and chauvinists and sexists and misogynists.
I don't have
Well
a
done.
fucking problem with that. I think that's great. Of course I don't have a problem. I think it's a good line. It's a good line.
That's a good line. Someone wrote that for him. I guarantee it. I reckon that's Phil's line.
It sounds like an old thing. It sounds like something old man would have said, like
Yeah, it's something that's been around the CEO club.
sounds like
Anyways.
one of the old fucking removalists I used to work with would have said when they were pissed at 6 a.m. Greeno.
100%. Apparently, that didn't go down too well.
of
Which
course.
I call horseshit on that, because I guarantee it's a bunch of footy, Aussie, woofy, blokey, matey,
body.
they would have fucking found that hysterical. I guarantee it.
I tell you what, though, we're not far away from, sexism isn't being erased. It's just being reversed, I think.
Yeah.
We are not far away from girls like just slapping guys on the ass in the office, saying, look, hey, check you out, sweet cheeks. And the guys can't say anything back to them because that would be sexist. But the girls are like, yeah, he's a honey, stuff like that. It's already happening, to an extent.
Can we put this side by side though? Let's be real. So this is.
Why would you want to be real on this show?
No. Phil made a comment, right? Now you got the option. You can take Phil's comment, or you can deal with footy players gang raping. Which one do you think's the lesser of these two evils?
That's it. Yeah, if you got to pick one,
Yeah, I'm probably picking Phil.
Gang
making
rape.
old man jokes.
Speaking of rape, did you hear about that guy from the 70s show?
Yeah, Scientology cover up.
Well, apparently,
for many a year.
I don't know. I don't have any. I'm so cynical that I don't have any faith in, you know, anything basically anymore. So, you know, I'm like,
it's nice to start seeing some of these Hollywood wigs who have obviously been doing this stuff for a lot of years.
Well, I read the story though, and I'm like, because it was the thing like, oh, he spiked our drink, and you know,
yeah, and the Cosby.
But they were all his girlfriends at the time, so that's kind of weird, isn't it? Why would you need to rape your girlfriend, Greeno?
Well, because he's obviously a criminal. He's fucked in the head. Like,
why? Obviously,
it's no different to kind of like how many women throw themselves at Cosby in his prime and whatnot. Like,
yeah, but how many women make false allegations as well?
There's a bunch, but there's also a lot of fucking true allegations that don't really get touched on. So
I've read stuff where it's like, you know, where girls say that they were drugged. You know, they do toxicology reports and turns out they just had too much alcohol. Like, there's plenty of that stuff going around as well. So I'm not saying either way. I don't know, like, if he did it or not. No one really knows if he did it or not, because it was like 20 years ago. So there's no evidence. So there
must be enough evidence because they just sent him away from 30 to life. So
well, no, but they admit in the court case that there is. I'm not saying he's innocent, but I'm saying I'm just so cynical of everything that they admit in the court case there is no drug report, there is no toxicology report, there is no actual physical evidence that they were drugged. So it's a he said she said situation, and he's been thrown away. But he was quite confident, apparently, by all the reports I read, because he's going to appeal it and he'll probably get out. So it's like, yeah. But I just thought, well, you know, isn't it funny for that guy on the 70s show to be, you know, arrested for rape and thrown in prison? Because back in the 70s, it was all rape, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone was drugged, weren't they? So, hey.
Full circle.
Yeah, everything comes full circle yet again. So, well,
so it does come full circle, Damo. Americans and guns. They love the guns. And, you know, just when I think America can't get more America, come across a story that's just like America. Like peak America.
Which story are you referring to? Which one are we going?
Ryan Kinnell.
Ban on fat people?
And with fat people, Damo. Now, there was a little bit of an incident that went under the radar a couple of weeks back where at the Chicago White Sox game, there was like a shooting. You know, like that should be big news.
Why would a shooting in Chicago be big news, Greeno?
No! Exactly, yeah. But people were like, oh, this is outrageous, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, there's metal detectors at there. I don't understand. How did she get into the stadium with a gun? And it turns out the woman hid the gun under her belly fat.
Fuck yeah.
Prior to the shooting.
That is peak. That's peak America, Greeno.
That's what I said. That's America, that one.
This is why we love you, America, for shit like this. Yeah. Hiding guns. She's packing heat in her belly fat, yeah. Greeno.
Exactly. Out of all the spots, she just like, where can I put this? I can put it in the bag, I can put it in the handbag, I can put it in the pocket, I could put it in like the back of the pants, like an old school kind of cop from an 80s movie. No. Whack it under the belly fat.
Quick little story time for you.
Stories about pinatas.
Many years ago, my mum used to work for a supermarket. She was like an undercover supermarket cop, basically. And her job was to walk around and look for people who were stealing shit from the supermarket.
Yeah.
And she used to keep like an old file of all of her because every time she caught someone and, you know, took them up to the office for shoplifting, she'd have to write out a report for it. And she actually kept this old file full of these reports. And when I was like 15 or 16, she was like, look, do you want to laugh? And I'm like, yeah. She showed me this old file of all the reports. And I spent like a few days going through and reading all of these old reports of people shoplifting. And one of the ones I came across, and I got her to tell me the story. She was walking around and she walked past this little old lady. And this little old lady, when she walked past, she was squeaking. And I'm like, what do you mean she was squeaking? And she's like, so when she was walking, she was I'm like, what do you mean? Like her shoes? And she goes, yeah, that's what I thought, but no, not her shoes. And she's like, so I followed her around through the aisles a little bit. And anyway, long story short, she took her up to the office and it turned out that she had packets of mints between her thighs, Greeno. And when she was walking, the mints was squeaking between her thighs.
Oh, okay.
So she was trying to get away with. So what she was doing was taking meat off the shelf and sticking it up under a skirt, like right up next to her vagine.
Yeah.
And when she was walking, she couldn't avoid the sound of the Glad wrap on the meat packet squeaking between her thighs.
Yeah. Well done. Nice, Garry. Now, did you say that means it was still in a packet, though?
Yes, still in a packet. Yeah.
Very good. No, very good. I was worried. I thought maybe she'd gone to like the deli.
I wonder if they put it back on the shelf after they caught her.
Yeah, what do you do with that? Surely, like, you ain't got to disinfect that.
It's packaged. Do you not have faith in your own packaging? You know,
No, not
should
at
be
all.
fine. It might be a little warm though.
Yeah, I don't want that anywhere near my shopping cart, to be fair. But nice Garry to the old lady.
Yeah.
On the plus side, at least she wasn't stealing the dog food. No,
Well,
she was
that's
stealing
true.
real food.
Yeah.
Very good.
You know, times are tough when you're stealing dog food rather than just buying it and eating it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. That's real tough times.
Yeah.
Let's do a few stat man. So let's start with the accused
Stat
stat
man,
man,
and then we'll get the hell out of here.
And then we'll do a couple of Mariner stat mans as per the request. That was a request, the Mariner stat mans. But Ronald Acuna Jr. hits a grand slam for his 30th home run of the season. He's the first player in Major League history with at least 30 homers and 60 stolen bases in a season. Now, no one's ever done it before. He did it before September.
There you go.
So well done there to Ronald Acuna Jr.
Shohei didn't even do it.
No, he doesn't steal as many bags. He could though. Next year, look out when he can't pitch.
When he can't pitch, he's going to focus on other areas of his game.
on running. Yeah, he'll be the next.
He'll be driving the fucking team bus as well.
Yeah, exactly. Now we had a friend of the show, Dr. Climate Abortion, reach out.
Dr. Climate Abortion, one of my favourite names ever on the internet.
And he's like, boys, you do Statmans, but you never put any Mariner Statmans. And I'm like, well, to be fair, it's normally like Shohei,
Fuck the
and
Mariners,
that's about it.
Yeah, obviously.
But I'm like, well, if our fans, we've only got 6 of them, so if our fans request, then we shall provide. So thankfully, there was a shit ton of Mariner Statmans that happened in the last couple of weeks. Mariners set a new franchise record with their 21st win in a calendar month.
Okay.
Now,
Here's the moment.
For a second.
Underneath, history has been made at T-Mobile Park.
There you go, Manuel's getting the save. Now, think about this. Never been done by the Mariners before. They hold the record for most wins ever in a season with 116.
Do they really?
Yet in that record-breaking season, they never had 21 wins in a month.
Really?
Crazy to think.
I'm surprised they hold the record for the most wins in a season. I would have just assumed it'd be like the Red Sox or the Yankees or something.
No, it's the two. Well, they didn't win the World Series the year that they did. I think they got knocked out second round. 2001 Mariners with the all-time record. So
Wow, what a waste that was, hey?
it really was, yeah.
Be clearly the best team and not win it must be more heartbreaking than being the worst team and not
happens a lot in
winning it.
baseball though, because it's a
luck.
50-50 flip
Yeah.
of the coin. Like when you get to the postseason, it's luck of the draw. So unlucky there. Julio Rodriguez has had an unbelievable month. 5 4+ hit games are the most by a player in a 10-game span since 1900.
Okay.
So he did something that hasn't been done since 1900, Julio Rodriguez. We've also he reached 50 home runs in his 256 career game, the fewest games ever to reach 50 home runs by a Mariner. Now, you don't think like, it's only one team, blah, blah, blah. The Mariners have had 2 of the greatest home run hitters in history in Alex Rodriguez and Ken Griffey Jr. In their lineup as rookies. So he's done something that those 2 players, that one's in the Hall of Fame, one would be if he wasn't a drug cheat, has been achieved. So well done there.
Just a question, Greeno. Do you think your chances are better of getting in the Hall of Fame for either baseball or American football if you are either a gang rapist or a drug cheat? Which do you think you have a better chance at?
Oh, definitely the rapist. That's
rapist,
all fine.
yeah. Dog fighter was fine, obviously.
Dog fighter's fine, yeah. That's all good.
So gang rapist, you'll get in the Hall of Fame. Drug cheat, no.
Yeah, you'll be celebrated.
Yeah, again, I bring it back to my long-held belief that we should just legalize all performance-enhancing drugs in sport and just be done with it. Just get over it.
Yeah.
Just get over this ridiculous kind of facade that we all have that we want sports to be pure, because it's not. It won't be. It never will be. So let's embrace the drugs.
Yeah, get them on board.
Yep.
All right, that's a nice way to end it.
Embrace the drugs. Yeah.
Embrace the drugs. There's no plugs because we don't plug anything.
No.
And we'll health permitting.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Real always be bosom buddies, friends, sisters, and pals. We'll always be bosom buddies. If life should reject you, there's me to protect you.
If I say that your tongue is vicious,
If I call you uncouth,
it's simply that
who else but a bosom buddy will sit down and tell you the truth?